Hi guys, it's Aegis here. I am not supposed to actually make this video like right now, but because of some kind of mistakes that my locals made, so I cannot actually get my case today, so I can't crack anything. Which will be Friday, so do stay tuned for that. And there's nothing I can do because I have been asking like the shop, because they got a few shops and say if they can like arrange some stocks from like here and there to let me have a case, but in the end I can't. So yeah, and which explains why I am thinking of doing this later than today, because I'm going to do a Tachikaze deck profile. So as I say before, I will be using proxies in this video because I don't actually have the cards yet, even though I did buy myself a Megas SP pack, but still I don't have other cards. So yeah, so let's start. Dragonic, nothing else, since I haven't pulled any SP pack, which I hope I pull more Megas SP pack or even like Shadow SP pack from the case later. But if I got a Tachi, then I would switch to that one, but for now I will be using Dragonic because there's no difference. Then I'm running 4 of the new Gaia Emperor, so it's the key card of the deck, and the skill is actually quite interesting. So first skill is during your turn, if you have regards with the gauge, then they will get 5k. If your opponent is Grateful or higher Vanguard, and instead of 5k you get 10k. So as long as you put a gauge on your regard with him as your Vanguard, you can basically give your regards 5k or 10k boost. That's really nice because Tachi always lack the attack power. Like they might only be able to hit for 9k or sometimes 14k, but now you can simply add a 10k to that, and if you put a gauge at the back, those units, if they can boost, they can be 10k plus the original power, so very strong. And the second skill is when this card attacks, counter blast 1 and retire 1 of your regard during the battle. The unit that you retire as the cost of this card, you will get the original power, and if your opponent Vanguard is Grateful or higher, you will get a crit too. Well, basically it says the crit on that unit. So if you eat a unit with 2 crit, then of course you will get 2 crit extra, but normally you will get 1. So this is very interesting because like our previous Tachikaze cards, they never gain a crit. Like Anger Blader, you stand your regards, you share the power, but you don't gain crit. Terrax, you get so many power plus, you get so many gauges, but you don't get crit. Now you do. And as long as you have something like an 8k booster and give that a gauge, then it's already hitting for 30k plus a unit that you eat the original power plus on it, assuming you are taking a Grateful Vanguard. So like you can get 39, 38, 42, somewhere about that with crit, so making your Vanguard line a little bit bigger, and also get a crit. And by eating your own units, you will be able to activate quite a lot of things, then you will see in a bit. And next I'm running 4 of these new cards, Slicing Dragon, Terrax. So it's a something similar to Megarex, that when attacking Vanguard, you eat another regard, draw 1. But then you got an extra skill, that is if the unit that you eat have a gauge on it, then you can also retire your opponent's regard, which is very nice because have the chance of cleaning your opponent's board is always welcome for Tachikaze, because you always eat your own, but you don't always eat your opponent's. But now you do, and you can keep recycling your resources to draw, which is very nice. And the most important part is this card doesn't cost you any counter blast or soul blast. So what you need to do is just attack the Vanguard, which is like easy. And with Gaia's help, he can usually hit like 17, 22k, so still able to hit most of the stuff. And this card, I put it for fun, is Terrax. So what Terrax do is you can superior or superior call it if your Vanguard is grade 2 or higher, and if you didn't ride on the turn and you're willing to put 2 gauges to drop, then you can call it as a Vanguard or ride it as a Vanguard. So sometimes if you don't have any counter blast or anything, which makes Gaia a little bit kind of useless here, and you want an extra draw with your XL2, then you can do that. Or if you cannot ride anyway, but you still need more units, and you don't need to pay any counter blast or what, just to set 2 gauges, and you can call this out for fun. And when this card attacks, for each gauge on your field, he will get 2k. So if you do spread enough gauges, then he himself can still be a very, very strong attacker. Then let's entering grade 2s. So first I'm running 4 of this new card, Steeless Horn Dragon Dilo for Pyro, or for Pyro. So this is a triple rare of the set, but actually I am thinking of cutting him a little bit, even though his skill is quite strong. But his skill in this deck is helpful, but after fighting like Mega Colony, I find that I might need to make some space for other cards, so I might actually cut some Terrax for something else, and I might actually cut this off. But let's talk about him first. So his main skill is when he come out from hand to Vanguard the Radar Circle by counterblasting 1, you can draw 1 card and then call 1 card from hand. So you don't lose a hand extra, but you also don't gain because you draw 1 and then you call 1. But then you also give that unit a gauge immediately if you want to. So in Gaia deck, as long as you have Gaia on your Vanguard, whenever you use this guy to call something out, that unit can at least get a 5k plus, and they got a gauge, so they can do something else. And then the second skill is when this card appears from the gauge, he will get 10k. So you don't guarantee to get him a gauge, but basically if you do call them from gauge, you can, which you will see in a bit. But this 10k is, to me, is too random, because you first need to be able to put him under some units gauges, and whenever you call him, you can use the get 10k skill, but it's not from hand, so you can counterblast 1 and draw 1 to call 1. So it's like you only get 1 part of the skill, depending on what you do. But I can see this card have a lot more potential in premium, but that will be another topic. And like, I'm also thinking of what to do with premium, so you will also see how this card being useful in premium. Then next card, also a new card, is Regiment Dragon Regiodo, which is like one of the key cards of the deck, but I'm also going to cut it down, but I will tell you why. So let's talk about his skill first. First is a Vanguard skill and attacks. Then you can select one of your Vanguard, including himself, to give a gauge. So basically you can just swing with Gaia skill to put a gauge under, to Gaia skill to pump the power to 5k to 10k, as long as you give him a gauge, which is easy. And then the next skill is when this card is retired by card skill, which I think is, we also get some confirmation from a friend of mine that when you use skills like Engorge to eat them, or it's like a cost to get into Engorge, I think you can still actually use this effect. Then you can call up to 1 unit under this unit's gauge. And not only that, you can also give that unit a gauge. So it's like this card with a gauge dies, you call the cards that is behind it and give it a gauge. So immediately Gaia can give them power. But the limitation is you can only use this skill with this unit's name once per turn. It's kind of like the main. So that is also a reason that why I'm thinking of cutting at least one. It helps you to do multiple attacks. It's very strong. It gives you gauges, but you only get to use it once per turn. So like if you have multiple copies on the field, which you can't control because they are like under your gauge. So for example, if you have this, put it, attack and get something under the gauge, and then you eat it, call it back and put something under the gauge, you can't use this effect again by retiring the new one because you already been using once, which is kind of a limitation and also making you a little bit harder to defend against Mega Colony, because when you face Mega Colony you would like to eat your board as much as possible, but these guys will stay. So and once they got a credit marker on them, they lose all the skill, and even they got eaten and go to drop, you still can activate the skill to call the cards under the gauge. So which is a kind of a weak point, but of course not everyone playing Mega Colony, so this card is still very strong, but based on the limitation that it can only be used once per turn, I would rather cut it a little bit so I can have more room for something else. So for example, so far I will be like cutting like 3 spaces already, which I can use some old cards to fight. And talking about old cards, I'm using 3 Mega Rex. It's another card that allows me to eat regards because I can't always rely on Gaia. Gaia costs a counterblast, and what if I don't have counterblast? Then at least I have a Mega Rex to eat something to draw me cards and then activate this guy. Or even if I write a Mega Rex, call this out, counterblast, get a unit, get a gauge, it could be a grade 1, it could be a grade 2, it could be anything, and then I can eat this after using this attack by Mega Rex to draw an extra card. So I lose the 5 gauge shield, but at the same time I gain a card, so it's still very nice. Okay, the next entering grade 1s, I'm running 4 of the Full Speed Dragon Blue Sprints. Basically it's the grade 1 copy of Regiodon, so nothing much to explain, and I'm also thinking of cutting one for the same reason of the grade 2. Again, these are grades, they are good support, they help the deck a lot, they help you win games, they do multiple attacks and could be very crazy, because just assuming you have 1 extra 2, you can attack for 1, 2, 3, 4, and then Gaia eat 1 to call 1, then that's 5, and you eat another 1, which is 6, so you can at least do 6 attacks, which is quite crazy based on what we are facing so far with Tachikaze. It's always you don't play a lot of regards, like you don't do a lot of attacks, even though you try to stand something with Anger Blader and win there, but what you aim is for high power. But now you are kind of doing the same, but with Gaia you share a lot more power, and every single attack is quite big, and you can keep drawing cards, keep doing multiple attacks, and keep recycling your stuff. And then I'm running 2 of the Prison Bird. It's the Great Researcher, and as long as you have a new gauge for the turn, then you can get 5k plus. So it's quite easy to get the 5k, but at the same time, because I'm running quite a lot of Great Freeze here, I don't think I need to actually do that much searching, and that dropping hand is kind of hurt because you do draw here, you do draw here, you do draw here, but most of the time those cards you draw are key pieces and you do want to keep them. But sometimes I do want to pinpoint and find some Great Freeze, or even find a Dark Rex to drop it so that I can get prepared to Superiorize, Superior Call. This is still fine. So I think 2 is okay, but if you don't think you need to search for any Great Freeze, then you can basically take it off. But since I'm trying to test the new cards, so I'm at least running 2. But I don't really need you. Don't think you really need 4 copies. Based on my testing through different clans, and I usually just use it as a guard. So, but it's still okay to have something to search for a grade 3, but you definitely don't need 4 because it's taking up so many spaces. And then I am running 2 of the Sharp Thorn Dragon Polar Can Spine. This is a very interesting card because depending on how many gauges you have on this card, when you retire, it got different skill. If you have 1, then you can soul charge 1. If you have 2, on top of that, you can counter charge 1. If you have 3, then all these gauges under this card will go to another unit. So you, as long as you put 3 gauges on it, and it got retired, and it's not during your turn, so even if your opponents retire it, so you can still get the effects of depending on your gauges, which is very helpful. Because for like Mega Rex, you do want to give it more gauges so it can be more powerful. And sometimes if you do want to share some gauges around, then you can eat it and put it onto other regards so they can get the 10k plus. And it's okay to store gauges under him because he can still be 70k at booster, so to have you do a lot of good boosting. Like 9 and 17 can still hit like 26, so I think it's good enough. Then I'm running 2 of the Sonic Noah. Few reasons. 1, it gains your gauges for free as long as you boost with it. 2, it helps you to retire your units, so you can retire your boost screen, you can retire your Radiodon to activate their to call a unit skill while you also draw a card. So very helpful, and I might actually think of adding a little bit more Sonic Noah. If I cut 1, I might actually add 1 here. Then I am running 3 of the Lesser Terrax. Nothing much to say. Gain your gauges, can have a chance to get it back if you want to as a retire and Soul Blast 1. So help you stock some good resources and get gauges for free, since you only need 1. It's an 18 booster and you just find a good timing and eat it. Basically that. With triggers, I am running 3, 5, 8 crit, 4 draw PGs, and 4 heals. I tried the front, but it kind of ruined my attack sequence that I want to go here and there, so I have decided to actually use crits instead, because Gaia will gain a crit, and if I double crit I hit 4 damage. If my opponent's guard, I would just share the crit to the new units so they can still be very strong, like hitting 32, 29, maybe +5 if they are on exile markers. Yeah, so just that. But 4 PGs I think still needed, because 1, you need some draw power to keep you alive. 2, there are a lot of attacks that you can't simply use a 30k guard to guard with. So without thinking too much, drop a PG, make sure you save. I think it's a lot better. And then you just try to rush, try to push, try to do a lot of multiple attacks, then you can win. You can also check out my previous fight video against Grand Blue, which I will put in the description below, so you can check how this deck runs. Of course, there's a little bit misplay here. I think it's on the Grand Blue side, but on my side I think it's okay. So do take a look and see how it works, then you can see how much potential this deck can do for you. Yeah. So I think that will be the end of this video. This time I'm not going to do the right suggestions and things, because I'm going to update this deck, and I would rather put the thoughts on there. But if you do want to know how this deck runs, then do put in the comments below and let me know, then I can probably add in a little bit extra video for that if I do hear a lot of people want to see that. But before that, thanks for watching, guys, and stay tuned on Friday. I will be unboxing and get that up so you can watch it, see how good, how bad I get as soon as possible. And yeah, that's all for me today, and I will see you guys in the next video. Signing off.